Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to create task cards in PowerPoint and then make them digital using Google Forms. So if you haven't watched my first two videos, I show you how to make a matching activity on PowerPoint and then how you can take that matching activity and make it digital using Google Slides. So if you haven't watched those two videos, those will go over the basics of PowerPoint and making activities digital. And they will be really helpful when we're creating our task cards in PowerPoint because I will be going a little bit faster in this video. So the way we start out with with creating any of our own resources, we open up a blank presentation and we go to Design, Slide Size, and then we're going to make it 10.5 or 10 by 7.5. And then we're going to go ahead and get rid of these two boxes. And then I did want to show you all, if you go to View, you can under Show, you can click Ruler, which shows you the ruler. So if you want to make sure you have something centered perfectly or in a specific spot once it's printed, you can use the ruler feature, which is really helpful. Then we have grid lines. So this makes sure that everything is formatted evenly and spaced evenly. So grid lines is also very helpful. And today we're going to actually be using guides. Guides goes ahead and divides our piece of paper into 4 different quadrants. And so the way we're going to do that is we're going to make 4 different task cards on one piece of paper. So we'll have a task card here, 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 and here. And so that way we know that it's going to be evenly spaced and we don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to leave my guides on, and then I'm going to go to Insert, Shapes, and then I'm going to create a rectangle. And I'm going to create a rectangle that is going to be the border of our task cards. As you can see, when I created the rectangle, I didn't make it completely going on each of the guides. I want to leave a little bit of room just in case if you decide to use this in the classroom, you'll probably want to cut out each card individually. And so just leaving some space will leave you room when you're cutting that you don't accidentally cut off another task card. And then we're also going to make these digital. So we're going to screenshot each of the task cards individually. And so that will also make sure that we're not getting some of the task card in our screenshot. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a shape fill of no fill. And then I'm going to go outline. I'm going to go weight first, and I'm going to make the weight really big. I'm going to make it 6, just so students can see that this is the task card. And once they're cut out, you can kind of see the border really nicely. And then I'm going to just make them as a black background. I am going to make this a little more evenly spaced. And then next, I'm going to insert a text box. My first text box, I'm going to change the font to KG. It's called PDX Blocks, and I will link that down below. I'm going to just say task card number 1. Then I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger. And then I'm going to center it as well. So make it a little bit bigger, like that, and then center it. Alrighty, so that looks good so far. And then I'm going to insert another text box. And then this is where I'm going to write my problem. So I'm going to use my, it's called KG, sorry, not sorry. That's the one that I used in my previous videos as well. I really like this font. So it's KG, sorry, not sorry. Again, both of these fonts will be linked below. So say this is going to be a slope task card. I'm going to say, what does M represent in slope intercept form? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and center that a little bit better. And I'm going to make it a lot bigger so it's just easier for students to read, and then make sure it fits inside my actual task card. I'm going to bold M. And with all of this, you can definitely make it your own. This is just kind of a general, very basic task card. Okay, so we have that. So then I'm going to just go ahead and copy all 3 of the things I created. So the border, the label, and then the question. And then I'm going to just Control C and then Control V. And move that over. And then this is going to be my task card number 2. And I'm going to say, how can we find, how can we determine the slope of a. So this is a little bit of a general question. And so when we transfer this to our Google Forms, this will definitely be an open-ended question. And so I'll show you how to do that. This isn't the best question, but I just want to kind of show you that we can have a multiple choice question and then also a short answer question. And if we wanted to continue on, we can just copy all of our first card, all of our second card. So we should have 6 things copied, and then we can Control C, Control V, and then we can move this down and center it as well. So I didn't center this one as well as it should have been because it was up along that grid line or the guide. So that looks a little bit better. And then you want to make sure you do that one as well. Again, just if you're cutting it, you don't want to cut off a little bit of anything else. And then we'll want to change this to 3. This will be our card 4. And then we can change the question. And then again, you can always right click over here, duplicate slide, and keep going. So that's just a very general way of how we can make our task cards. So now let's go ahead and move to Google Forms. So if you just need to have a Gmail account. And so if you're logged into your Gmail, you can click this waffle right here, which is the 3x3 of dots that says Google Apps. And then you can scroll down. Sometimes Forms is in this area and it will say form with a blue or a purple little sheet that looks like that. We don't have it right there, so we can just go to more from Google. And then we're going to scroll all the way down, and then there it is. So then we'll click Forms, and then go to Google Forms. All right, so now we're going to want to just create a blank one. So Google Forms has a lot of different features that I haven't played around with completely. So if you want a whole other video on using Google Forms, let me know and I can definitely do that because there are a ton of features that we won't even talk about in this video. Also, if it's your first time using Google Forms, once you log in, it'll take you on a tour if you want. So that'll cover a lot of the things that maybe I won't talk about today. So here I'm going to just call this slope task cards. And then this is just a description, so please complete the following 4 task cards. If we had 4, the due date is July 1st, something like that. Okay, so now that we have that, what I want to do first is I want us to add an image. And so what it just did is it opened up a place for us to drag our image. So now we're going to go back to PowerPoint and we're going to open up a brand new PowerPoint, a blank presentation. And then we're going to go to, I'm going to take off the guides. I don't need those anymore. And then we're going to go Design, Slide Size, Custom. And this time we're going to make it 6 by 2.5. And if you're thinking, what the heck are you doing? We usually make it 10 by 7.5 or 7.5 by 10. What we're going to do is we're going to create a little banner. So when our students are looking at this form, they can kind of see what it looks like, what the content is, and it's just kind of a cute little way to get the students engaged. And again, this step is totally optional. I just wanted to go ahead and show you how we could do that. So again, it's just like creating what we've been doing in our PowerPoint. So I'm going to just make this light gray. I'm going to make the outline like that, but I'm going to make it thicker. Let's do like those dashes. I wanted to make it thicker. I'm gonna make it, that looks good. The fill is a little too dark, so I'm actually gonna make it like that one. And then here we can just write, insert a text box and say slope task cards. And for some reason it took my font to be white. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. And I had a typo. And then I'm going to make this just my, let's make it MG objectives, which is that cursive one. And then let's make this one KG falling slowly. Or falling slowly is also a really good one from KG. I like that one a lot as well. So then I'm going to just make these a little bit bigger. Okay, so then we have that. And I'm gonna just insert a little picture. I really like this light bulb that I found off of Google. I think it's a fun little clip art. So we can do something along those lines. Okay. Then we can file, export, change file type, PNG, and then I'm gonna just save it as, let's just save it as one banner. So now we can browse and then submit it. Okay, so then what that does is it gives you just like a little bit of the picture. So once students start looking at it, they have like a cute little fun thing to look at instead of making it just look like I think Google Forms really looks like a quiz or a survey thing. So if students are going to be doing this a lot, especially if we do digital learning, I think if we include something kind of fun, it'll make students more apt to put a lot of effort in. And then I'm going to just change this right here to slope task cards. Okay, and before we start creating our form, let's go ahead and look at these three icons up here. So we have customize theme where you can change the color. So right now we have it as purple and then gray in the background. We could make it blue. We can make the background gray. We can change that around a lot, which I think is super cool. You can also choose an image for your header. So that would go right here. A big thing that we're going to want to use is preview. When in doubt, use preview. That goes ahead and shows you what you've created so far. So this is what we have: slope task cards, complete the 4 cards, the due date is July 1st, and then there's the banner that we created in PowerPoint. Once we get our questions in here, that'll be updated as well. The last really important piece is the setting. So right here, it says under general, you can collect email addresses. The really nice thing about this is if it's something that you're going to grade or you want students to write their names down so you can see what they're saying, click collect email addresses, and that'll make sure that students have to enter their email address before they can submit the form. You can also do limit 1 response, edit after each submit, and the respondees can see the summary. So you can decide if you want to use any of those. I usually just do collect email addresses. This is another really good one. If you're maybe making a Google form as an actual test, you might want to shuffle the question bar or the order or show the progress bar so students know how many questions there are. And then show link to submit another response. So if you allow students to respond multiple times, you can click that. That one doesn't really matter. I'm going to keep this one going just so I can actually respond a couple times so we can look at the responses. And last is our quizzes. So if you want this to be graded, so I'm using this as a task card activity where students would be solving questions and this would be a grade. So I want this to be a quiz. So then after that, do you want to release your grade immediately or later after manual review? So again, with that second task card that we created, it was an open-ended question. So if you don't want students to see their score until you've gone and looked at it, you would click later. Or if you don't care if they immediately see it, you would click that top one. And then do you want your students to see the questions that they missed, the correct answers, and the point values? So again, if this is a test, you probably would want to uncheck a lot of these just to make sure students aren't cheating. Okay, so I'm going to just keep it like that. And so now you can see that students have to enter their email address before they can submit the form. So now we're going to go down to this question, and I'm going to write solve the task card below. Okay, so now we want to actually enter our task card. So here, or we can go back to our PowerPoint and snip them and copy them in. So we can go snipping tool. Oops, so this was the one I had created before. Sorry about that. So we want to go. Oh no, this one's fine. Sorry. This is the one we wanted to do. So then we can go. So we can just copy it and then save it. I've already done that. So back to my forms. And then right here, an image is going to pop up. You're going to click that. You don't want to press this image over here because then it's going to get rid of your question and it's going to make you do something like this. We want an image to be a part of our question. So then I'm going to just browse, and then here's our first task card. So here is where we can say, do we want it to be a short answer? Do we want it to be a paragraph, multiple choice, checkbox, drop down? Again, I can do a whole other video where I go way more in depth with Google Forms. Here I'm going to just do multiple choice. So the option 1 would be slope, option 2 would be white, intercept. Okay, now we want to make sure that this is required. So that means students have to answer this question before they can submit it, kind of like with our email address. Then we also want to go over to our answer key. Here, this will tell us, okay, what's the correct answer? Slope. That means that's the incorrect answer. And then we can also add answer feedback. So for incorrect, you could write something like, please go back and review your notes. You can also add videos and also attach links. And then here, this is correct, so way to go. So again, Forms has so many features. Again, I can do a whole other video on that, but that's just something to note. And then you also want to make sure you change your point value. So I want that to be 1 point. Okay, so now we're done with that problem. And then let's add one more question. And this is gonna be the short answer question. Okay, so then we're gonna go ahead, press our picture button again. And that was this task card. And we want it to be short answer. We want to make sure it's required. That's our answer. I'm getting rid of response validation. Again, I can talk about that in a different video. That's a really helpful feature though. Answer key, we want to make that 1 point as well. So we don't really want there to be a correct answer because we want students to kind of explain this question or this problem, how they would actually explain it. So I'm going to leave that blank, and then you can mark all other answers incorrect. So if this had just there's a 1 answer that's correct, you're done. You could press that, and any answer that wasn't the exact answer you wanted would be marked incorrect. So it's a great feature if there's only one possible answer and you know your students are going to enter it perfectly. This can be a little bit of a bad thing if you if there's a little bit of open-endedness to it. So then we can add feedback again. So I am going to click this just to show you what happens. Okay, so making it short answer, answer key, we're making it 1 point. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this for a second and I'm going to do a couple responses and then I'll show you what happens with our responses once we get those. Okay, so I went ahead and answered this form twice, but I want to just show you how your students would answer it. So they would enter their email address. They would scroll down. What does M represent in slope intercept form? The slope. How can we find slope? Say a student says, I'm going to show you right over right. So that's the correct answer. So now you can view score. And so it says, oh, we only got a 1 out of 2. Remember, that's because we said this one was incorrect. So teachers have to go back and change that. So that's kind of why the all other answers are incorrect is both good and bad because it'll grade it for you automatically, but this is technically the correct answer, but it's marked wrong. So if you don't want your students to see that, you can go back and change that in settings. But now I'm going to go back to just our form and go to our responses. So this tells us the number of responses, how many points were scored correctly, how many points people got out of 2. So we had the first person got a 1 out of 2, this one got a 0 out of 2, this one got a 1 out of 2. But remember, we didn't grade that last question. So then we might go back over here. So they got it wrong. So that would have been the feedback I got when I got that answer incorrect. The really cool thing is you can look at individual students. So say this is a student you're kind of worried about, maybe they're not doing as well as you would hope. Okay, you can look at it. Oh, shoot, they got that answer wrong. But they got that answer right, so that's good. So I would have to go back and give them credit for it. Okay. Another really, really good thing you can do, so you can release the score as well to just that person or all of them. So if you want to give them some feedback like, great job, I will put this in your grade book as soon as possible, that sort of thing you can do. And then you can also give them the extra points that they earned with that last problem. The last thing you can also do is create a spreadsheet with all of this information. I know a lot of us don't just have 3 students, and we would want to see all of the responses in a really easy way. So this, you could sort it in whatever way you want and see, okay, so the people who got a 0, maybe I need to talk to them, but they got that correct, so I can change it here. You can use this as your own grade book. You can really use this as whatever. I think this is a really cool tool that it has as well. So that's all I have. And you could also include one of the questions to be what block they're in. So then you could sort it by their block, which I think would be very helpful as well. So that's a little bit of a quick overview of using PowerPoint to create your task cards, as well as turning them into a Google form. So this is what we've talked about today. We created a task card on PowerPoint. Then once we were in Google Forms, we looked at settings and the quizzes and how you can make this a quiz to have it automatically be graded, how you can also go to settings general and collect email addresses, how we can create our title and our banner, how we can insert new questions, and remember the image in Google Forms is in that middle part. It's not off on the side. So remember, it's here and not here. Okay. And then there's different options. So multiple choice, short answer. There's a ton of different ways you can have your students answer these questions. You can also mark all other answers incorrect if you want. There's also a go-to section. So right here, it'll take you to a specific section, which then means it would break up the quiz when you're taking it. So instead of having like 10 questions back to back, you can section it off. And then there's also a way that, depending on what answer students give, sorry, let me go back. For multiple choice, whatever answer students give, if you click these 3 dots right here, you can have students go to a section based on their answer. And again, I can go into a whole other video on that, but that would be good for students who maybe need a challenge. The more questions they get right, the more that they get challenged, that sort of thing, or students who need more help in a specific area, you can have them go to that section and get some more exposure to those questions. Always preview before you send this off to your students. Make sure you preview it, because then you can look at it the way that they would be looking at it. And then the response features on forms is amazing. So that's kind of what we talked about today. So thank you so much for watching. I do have a Teachers Pay Teacher store, which is just MS Math Pie. And what I'm going to do is I created this, so it's pretty similar to what we created in this video. I'm going to go ahead and upload that to my Teachers Pay Teachers, and I am going to have it editable, so you can go ahead and edit it however you would like. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I really appreciate you watching. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.